Yay. Okay, wait.
Hey there. How are you, Bevin?
Hey, Tanya. I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, it is good to see you. It is just really, and look at your background, girl. You just got everything just going on, and just that background speaks volumes about you. It speaks volumes about how we are connected, and just speaks volumes about why you must participate in these conversations. Okay. I know who you are. I know how special you are. I know how you just show up in your world and just doing that, how you change the lives of people. But I want you to share with other folks who you are, how you do that. So let this audience know who I have the privilege of sitting here speaking with.
Oh, thanks, Tanya. Well, I feel the same way about you. I think you're just an amazing, radiant light in this world, and you just have so much to give and truly a servant's heart. And your story is just so remarkable and wonderful, and I'm glad to be in company with you. My name is Bevin. I prefer monomnemonic, meaning you only need to know my first name. I am primarily, I think the thing I'm most committed to in this life right now is Fat Kid Dance Party Aerobics, which is my aerobics class for anyone who feels left behind by mainstream fitness. If you've ever been called too much, too fat, or felt too anxious to dance, this is the class for you. It's really meant as an all levels, even in a chair, like movement experience, celebrating the body you have today, not the body you think you should have, not the body you had 10 years ago, just this body that you have today, so you can celebrate what you have and where you're at. And all of that comes truly just because I live my life in a way. I'm a body liberation activist, meaning I believe that all bodies are worthy of love exactly as they are. Mm-hmm. And we live in a really negative society for all types of bodies. And when you think about it, all oppression really intersects in the body: race, class, gender, sexuality, age, ability. All of that overlaps into just these precious bodies we have. And I grew up fat, and I grew up at war with my body because I always felt like I was a failure because I couldn't, like, diet and exercise didn't work for me. And and they were working for me. That's the worst part, is that you think it's not working because you're not changing your body or you're not conforming. But really, when you're nourishing yourself and you're loving yourself with movement, those are things that have long-lasting effects. That I think the most important thing for me is just my state of mind and my mental health, and how I'm able to experience an uncertain and difficult world around me with great joy and peace.
That's what I'm saying. You are just simply phenomenal to be able to just embrace who you are, where you are, just right here, right now in the world. And I'm not saying you have never been unscathed, but you are what I call a winner. When you can take your challenges and take your losses and just embrace them, and embrace them in a way that they create opportunity for adding value to your life. That's being a winner, and so you are a member of the winner circle. And I am so happy to be in the winner circle with you, because that's what we are, okay? And with that, it's so important, and that's why it's so important that you are in this conversation, because there's so many people that are experiencing or have experienced exactly what you have shared about what got you to where you are. And this year that we've been in has been so tumultuous with shaming on so many levels. And like you say, it all starts in the body. What you just said, I hadn't really put it together quite like that. I think about, the mind, body, spirit connection and how all of that works. But what you just shared about how it all starts in the body, that is just simply, that's just brilliant. A light just went off for me as well, because our mind, or the brain, the spirit, is all housed up in this thing that we call the body. And then we use this body to go around and identify ourselves in our various roles that we engage in life. And based on how we present or show up in these bodies is how we are accepted in various areas in life. It's just crazy, right? It's just simply amazing. So thank you. Jeez. I got chills from that. I just really got chills from you just presenting that so well. I'm gonna have to steal that clip from you. You got to write that down and send it to me or something, because when you're not with me, I need to remind folks, it's not just the mind, body, spirit connection, it's the body that houses, this is our temple, and it houses everything, our thoughts, our beliefs, our overall wellness is housed in this body. So with that, 2020, I've been having these conversations, and I think the thing that's been so present for all of us has been just the effect from COVID. How COVID has stopped us, slowed us down, locked us in, made us be still. All of that is true, because that's a common experience for almost everybody all over the world. Somehow, everybody had to slow down and stop for a certain amount of time and space. I don't care who you are, your age, your race, your social economic status. The COVID did that. It made us stop. However, we've had so many other things as well. We have had the social unrest, with racism. We have had the fall in the economy. We've had all this political mess. I'm going to call it mess going on, because it's been a mess. I have never thought that I would live and experience this mess in my lifetime politically, because it seemed like somehow history start going backwards some kind of way. But I don't want to use our time for that. So what I would like, though, is for you to share your experience of 2020. What has been one of your greatest challenges that you may want to share, and what has been one of your most notable wins, and how you can use that challenge and that win to create value in your life moving into 2021?
I think one of my challenges, or perhaps the great challenge that most people experienced this year, is just like the difference between what I thought things should look like and what they actually came to be, right? Like I had so many plans. Oh, RIP the 2020 that I had planned, right? And none of that could happen, which is like kind of, it was interesting because I moved up here. I live rurally. I live up in the Pacific Northwest, very close to Canada, in a forest community. And I just moved from a big city up here, and I didn't realize it was so well timed for the pandemic. But I did it kind of because my life fell apart last year. Everything, I was living in LA. I had a partner, and like it all kind of disintegrated for me. So when the pandemic happened and I saw the plan for 2020 dissipate, I was like, oh, and it was so interesting because like I had all these visions and desires for what was going to happen and how it was going to work, and it wasn't gelling yet. And I was like, that's really interesting that nothing is coming together. But the same thing had happened in 2019. I had all these plans and nothing gelled, and it felt like it fell apart, but I think it was coming together. And right, like, and so like not getting to have all the travel I was going to do, right? Because typically what I do and how I make my money is from teaching aerobics online and touring my class to other places, and typically touring with the Glowing Goddess Getaway, which is a women's self-care cannabis retreat, which I'm so grateful to be part of, and it's such a nourishing community. And none of that happened, but I had so much practice with releasing what wasn't happening last year that I kind of was like very prepared for 2020 in many ways. So it didn't, I knew going into pandemic, it can't be worse than last year. So I was like, great, more uncertainty. It's like Tuesday for me. I know how to deal with uncertainty. So I think that was like my greatest challenge and my greatest loss, right? Was just the idea of what I was going to have for my life. But I think my greatest win was like, honestly, my mental health, and which has like all my focus being on my mental health, which has been since last year, like I just was like, I'm really depressed. And when I moved up here, I wasn't even allowing myself to be conscious of how depressed I was,
Mhm.
but like I knew I needed to dance more. I'm an aerobics instructor. I teach with
Mhm.
dance, but I wasn't dancing just like in my day to day. And I know that's a sign that I'm not in my joy. So I was like, let me just make this a practice where every single day I go for a walk in the forest, which like I'm so grateful to live in a place that has private forest land. We have 35 acres of old growth
Mhm.
forest.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, we can't even get, I mean, there's just that one trail I get to walk on. I can't even get into the rest of it because it's all just wild, right? But it's been just stopping for 60 seconds to dance every day while I'm out. And then I call it dancing with the forest because I think the trees dance too and the mushrooms and everything.
Mhm.
And just filming it and then posting the funnest 15 seconds on my
Mhm.
Instagram was just like such a great practice for me to get back into this grounding habit. And I've just found more and more as I've kind of habits stacked around that and doing like more and more things every day, that's been so liberating to just focus on what I need to feel healthy in my body and my mind and my spirit, and like really focusing on those things. I think my biggest win, I'm in the most optimal health of my entire life, and my
Hmm.
relationship with my mom has never been better. And we had like 26 years where we were tense all the time, fighting all the time. Maybe not all the time, like once I moved out, but like we had a very difficult relationship for many years. And now we have a really great relationship. And like those two wins, I think are like the greatest things to come out of this year, just getting to live. I live down the street from her now, like so grateful I made that choice. I don't live with her, I live near her. And I think for mothers and daughters that like that's an important distinction. And but it's been so great. And like, so just kind of trying to focus on those things in a year of many losses and a lot of stuff that's out of my control. But
Mhm.
those are kind of my two big wins.
And how do you believe that taking those wins and taking all of those challenges and creating a bridge? Because see, as a psychotherapist and as a life coach, I get two various distinctions in how people perceive their worlds, even though the results can be very similar, the outcomes can be very similar, the perception of how they got there is so different. And so I always want folks to look at everything as a moment of in time that you can take with you. You don't leave it behind. I keep having so many people say, oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over, 2020. And I'm like, well, what the heck? I mean, what are you going to do? Step out of your skin, step out of your life, and just kind of park it in 2020 and go into 2021 naked? Because that's what it sounds like to me. You're going to be fully undressed, and not ready for what 2020, just like you said, you had some challenges in 2019, and that really prepared you for the pandemic in 2020. So I'm not saying that the life is going to become anything any worse or more challenging in 2021. But if you don't take your life with you, then it becomes challenging because you have nothing to rely on. You have nothing as a point of reference. And in our lives, it's all about our own point of reference, our frame of reference. Where do we grow from? Where do we learn from? Where and how do we perceive what's even challenging or not? So whatever it is that you perceive, the way you perceive it is what you create. So I want to understand more about how can you build a bridge using your rewards and your challenges to add value.
Ooh. I think you're like, first of all, I just think you're so right. Like everywhere you go, there you are. So if you're trying to just like escape, like it's like people trying to move to solve a problem, like
Mhm.
you're just gonna move your problems with you, like even if you think that they're not coming. And I think creating that bridge is honestly just being willing to be fully honest with yourself about who you are and what you need. And I think we need far less than our egos want us to believe.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it's like, it's connection. Connection's super important. Like, I can tell the difference in my mental health on a day when I connected with 3 people versus connecting with one or none, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I think it's about like really recognizing what serves you and what doesn't, and allowing those things to change for different seasons of your life.
mhm.
We're always growing and changing. Our cells are constantly replicating and recreating themselves in their own miraculous way. And so you're not even physically going to be the same person in 7 years that you were 7 years ago. And I certainly hope that you're not going to be the same person mentally and emotionally that you
Mhm.
were that time. And so it's one of those things where you just kind of have to like, I think life, the process of life, because life is always going to life at you, no matter what, no matter like
Mhm.
whatever circumstances you're in, some life thing is going to happen. And it's going to be hard. And I
Mhm.
think so many of us are raised in this chaotic environment and with lots of trauma, and we're
Mhm.
in our lives stirring shit up because that makes us feel more alive, because we haven't done the work to know ourselves so that we can be with ourselves and be in peace.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Were you just like somewhere hiding behind the door when I just kind of had that conversation a few days ago with how folks just don't feel alive if they don't keep some kind of something stirred up? And
Yeah.
the truth in that is folks keep things stirred up so they don't have to pay attention to the real crap that's going on that need their attention. So when you keep things stirred up, it's just simply a deflection, it's simply a distraction, and it's simply you just taking your life, pushing it down, causing more anxiety, causing more depression, causing more of you feeling less than. And then you keep stuff stirred up because you're operating from this place of not enoughness. And you're grabbing at pieces, trying to find that piece that's going to validate who you are, and where you stand right now. What do
Mm-hmm.
you have? What will you share with our viewers, Bevin, that may encourage or enlighten them for 2021?
Um, that success is uphill the whole way. So like, really, I think for me, rearranging how I feel about failure
Mhm,
is, it's just been a portal to my freedom. And I just like, I mean, there's a million things I've done that have helped me feel as good as I do now, right?
mhm,
And I'll say I'm not good all the time. Like, that's naive to believe that that's how life is. But I
mhm,
also know how to recognize my thoughts and all of that kind of stuff. So I
mhm,
think just like having people just make peace with themselves in some way, and like figure out, like, knowing that you can't change everything overnight, but you can really choose to just be 1% better every day. And like
oh,
really focusing, like for me, like it was very grounding and like had a very great satisfying domino effect to just focus, like, what's my mental health need, right? Like what is my mental health need from me in order for me to experience the world better,
mhm,
knowing I had so little control outside of everything else. And this, my life being the way it is right now, it is a failure to a previous version of me. But
mhm,
I'm also kind of recognizing now more and more how much you have to fail your way to success. And especially when you're self-employed and doing it on your own, like it's terrifying not having as much money come in as I think I should have, right? But
mhm,
it's also liberating to realize there's very little I actually need, and that my needs are
mhm,
frequently provided for in ways that are not
mhm.
conventional, and that's okay.
Absolutely. And well, because we're sisters, and it's like we live in a capitalist, money driven society. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like I'm this weird, I have been weirdly somehow displaced because I am not money driven, but I have to drive money because the society that I live in requires that I have a certain amount of money to do a certain type of thing. So then I kind of go into the same place of really realizing that I don't need as much as society has socialized me to believe that I must have in order to feel like I'm highly successful. See, success is to me subjective. It's not objective. It's not somebody else really observing what you're doing and making that determination. It's subjective to what your needs are. But we have been conditioned to objectivity. If I look at you and your car is being held together by duct tape, and then this car over here is fancy Ferrari running free, but they both gonna go to the same destination and get there within the same amount of time if you turn the engine on and the engine is running. Just like the one with duct tape may not get there, the Ferrari might not get there either. And so folks have to get out of the like I say, the objectivity of the society that we've been in to tell us this is what you need, you must have. If you don't have it, then you're not enough. And so I'm working on for 2021 is to need so much less than I already have, not to need less than I want, but to need less than I already have, because I have enough that I could have something to give more to others. And even if you don't have money, if you have resources to have the things that money would buy, we don't even need money. You just don't need the money. So that's where I would like to see us nest and settle in, is to just kind of look at where we are, look at what we have, and realize we need less than what we already have. And that's what COVID, and I'm saying COVID because it caused everybody to sit still. But with everything, it brought that into my view. So I share in the same thing you say, like in a previous life, you would not be considered being successful. But in the life where you are, you're extremely successful because you were able to take what you needed and focus on that, your mental health, and make peace. So thank you for all the work that you do, everything you do. The folks that's out here want to know where to find you. Where can they find you?
Okay, well, you can find me at fatkiddanceparty.com. So that's like fat, being cute and fat, and then being a kid, K-I-D, a party, or dance, and then party, fatkiddanceparty.com. I'm also on Instagram at Bevin's Party. That's just me, my main account where I'm dancing in the forest. And then, of course, Fat Kid Dance Party is its own Instagram, its own Facebook. But please join my email list. The links are on all of those things, and it's a naggy little box that pops up when you go to the website. Because the email list is, of course, the best way to connect with anybody you like. That's the one method that they own, that the person you want to connect to owns, versus like Zuckerberg owning your connection, or whoever, right? So that's how to find me. I love being on Instagram. I love just sharing. I call myself like passing the peace. It's not like I'm an influencer or a content creator. I'm just literally, this is how I found peace, and here's my recipe.
Thank you again. And for all of our listeners out there that don't know who I am Dr. Tanya Gilbert. You can find me on all social media platforms as Dr. Tanya Gilbert. Also, I encourage you and I invite you to join in the conversation. You can join in the conversation by going to my website, drtanyagilbert.com, and filling out a contact form. I will respond to you personally. I respond to everyone personally. You can also find me on Instagram. You can send me a message through Instagram. I have a column, Ask Auntie, and it's, I think, every Wednesday and Saturday. You can go there. You can ask me any questions that you want. Even, can I be a part of the conversation? And I will respond to you. So be careful of your questions because I do have an answer. Thank you all for joining us for Critical Conversations, Reflections of 2020, The Exit. Talk to you later. Thank you so much, Bevin. It's been such a pleasure.
Love you so much.
Hey, look at that beautiful little, oh my God, look at it. Hold it up so we can see. All Christmassy out, and oh my goodness.